Hello everyone and welcome back to the Nerd Den here once again, and in today's video we will be looking at the mysterious Midnight entity which originated from the planet Midnight. This entity is a unique Doctor Who monster because we actually never see what it looks like, which makes the horror that it brings even more intense and terrifying. Throughout its two appearances in Midnight and the Well, we learn very little about the creature, but we still see it evolve. Throughout this video, I will be exploring the history of the creature and what it could bring in the future. All that being said, let's get into the history of the Midnight entity. We first meet the creature when the Doctor takes part in a tour through the planet Midnight. During this bus tour, the bus takes a detour through a previously unexplored route. However, during this route, the bus unexpectedly breaks down. The Doctor goes to the front of the bus to speak to the driver and the mechanic, and he gets to have a glimpse of the planet's surface through a limited window before the bus's shields need to be reactivated. Before the shields were raised, the mechanic had noticed a shadow running towards the bus. When the Doctor was trying to comfort his fellow passengers, they all heard loud knocking outside of the bus. When the Doctor knocked on the bus to try and communicate with the creature, it responded with the same amount of knocks. Shortly after, fellow passenger Sky Silvestri started being hysterical, and the entity closed in on her from the outside and somehow entered the shuttle without any sign of a breach taking place, causing a massive dent in the shuttle's wall whilst also ripping off the cockpit, which did kill the driver and the mechanic. After the following blackouts, there was loss from the main generator, and the entity had possessed Sky, with the seats around her being completely destroyed. The entity seemed to have gathered a lot of strength from its host, and started to repeat every word that people were saying around it very quickly. Shortly after, the entity was able to copy everyone at the exact same time, before proceeding to only copy the Doctor. Eventually, the entity did steal the Doctor's voice, which paralysed him and forced him to repeat after it instead. So, taking advantage of all the hysterical paranoia that was already amongst the passengers, the entity convinced the passengers that the Doctor was now possessed and needed to be thrown off the bus into the high external sunlight. However, whilst Professor Hobbles and Mr. Kane were trying to get rid of the Doctor, the entity made a big mistake. It started using phrases that only the Doctor had previously said on the bus, which did notify the hostess that the possession had taken place. And in response, the hostess sacrificed herself by dragging the possessed Sky into the extonic light, which vaporized them both and freed the Doctor from the entity's grip and ensured the safety of the passengers. After all of this, the Doctor still had no idea if this action had killed the entity or if it had survived. And after this incident had taken place, the Leisure Palace company that held these bus tours on a regular basis decided to withdraw its facilities from the planet Midnight and abandon the planet to a long eternal silence once more, which prevented the entity from claiming any more victims. Fast forward to more than 400,000 years later, the 15th Doctor and Belinda Chandra find themselves stranded on a planet called 6767. The TARDIS appears on board a transport vessel, which is carrying a platoon of soldiers who are en route to a rescue operation on a colony that had suddenly fallen silent. When they arrive at the colony base, they discover the station has been littered with the bodies of the crew, all killed under strange and very grim circumstances. And there's only one survivor, Alis, who is the colony's cook. Belinda glimpses a shadow behind Alis that unsettles her, though she can't explain why. Soon the others see it too. When a soldier approaches from behind, he's hurled violently across the room and killed. Meanwhile, the Doctor uncovers that the colony had drilled deep into the planet's core, awakening a force that possessed the crew, driving them to kill each other, which passed from host to host until only Alis remained. After hearing that the planet's surface was once made out of complete pure diamond, the Doctor questions the leader, Shayland, and learns the world's original name, Midnight. After tricking the creature to look at its own reflection through the mercury waterfall, the creature apparently jumped off Alis, and the crew decided to run for the airlock to escape. Whilst most of the crew did escape through the airlock, everything seemed okay until there was what seemed to be a power fluctuation, and the entity apparently attached itself to Belinda as she could hear it whispering. Cheyenne decided to non-lethally shoot Belinda to allow the creature to attach itself to her. Upon this happening, she runs away from the group and jumps down the well, which means that she's taken her own life and supposedly taken the entity with her. However, back on the troopers' ship, the two remaining troopers are talking to each other, and there is a brief bit of hesitation between them both. Has one spotted the entity? Has the entity attached itself to one of them? Will the Midnight entity return to wreak havoc once more, and has it finally escaped the planet Midnight? But with all that being said, thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you are new around here, please click that like button and subscribe for more nerdy content, as we're on the road to 8,000 subscribers, which I will love to reach by the end of the year. But anyway, take care. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode of Doctor Who, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye for now.